Let's talk about carnivore diet mistakes because guess what? They happen to the best of us. Welcome back to my channel. I am Sylvia and I'm a carnivore diet coach. Let's start with constipation because it is an easily treatable condition with carnivore diet, and I'm a prime example of it. Most of my adult life, I was suffering from chronic idiopathic constipation, and it went away within 10 days with the carnivore diet. There are also studies that show just the same. If you have chronic idiopathic constipation, removing of all fiber from your diet eliminates chronic constipation. Now, it doesn't happen to everybody. I would say that about 85% of people that go on the carnivore diet take care of their constipation. And if you are one of those that had a positive response to fiber and went on a carnivore diet, usually it doesn't cause any problems. Your gut microbiome adapts to the new way of eating and you have regular bowel movements. But there is a group of us, about 15% from my coaching experience, that don't see those results right away. And it is the mistake to give up too early. The first thing you should do is look at your dairy consumption. If your carnivore diet is filled with dairy and you like to add it to just about everything that you are consuming, remove dairy and see what happens. Oftentimes that takes care of the problem. Another mistake that can happen while you're on the carnivore diet is, and you have constipation, is that you eat too much proteins and not enough fat. Let me tell you this, if you increase saturated fats by a lot, you will cause yourself a trip to the bathroom. So if you consistently undereat fats, chances are you will suffer from constipation, even though you're on the carnivore diet. And the last thing that can cause constipation while you're on the carnivore diet and you think you're doing something wrong, but not really, it's just taking longer, is the methane SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Those bacteria and the toxins of those bacteria will paralyze the smooth muscles of your bowels and slow down the movement. That said, it would be a mistake if you give up too easily, too early, and then just declare that you can't go to the bathroom because carnivore diet doesn't work for you. Just give it more time. Have realistic expectations. It is a good idea to get tested. If you tried carnivore diet for a few weeks, you removed dairy, you added more fat, and nothing is happening to your bowel movement, then maybe get tested to SIBO. That will allow you to have realistic expectations. And with time, most of the SIBO cases get corrected with the carnivore diet, and so will your constipation. Another very interesting mistake that many people that go on the carnivore diet make is overdrinking of water. We do not need to drink that much water. But I understand where this comes from. Well, one, we have this mainstream messaging about drinking enough water, drink lots of water, walk around with the bottle of water and drink during the meals, after meals, and everywhere in between. So people do consume water, and in my opinion, they overconsume. And let me tell you this, some of the most dehydrated people are the ones that drink the most water, because you drink all that water, you need also electrolytes to bind them, and if you don't have them enough in what you are drinking and eating, then the body will start recruiting from your organs in order to process all that water. So drinking lots and lots of water won't make you better hydrated. There are other ways to achieve it. Now, secondly, when you first start on the carnivore diet or the ketogenic diet, essentially when you restrict carbohydrates severely, you will go through what we call a transition period, and that involves going to the bathroom a lot and dumping of all this water, and then you will feel extra thirsty. Now that should end within a couple to few weeks, and then you do not need that much water because you don't consume any carbohydrates. Because as the name implies, carbohydrates, in order to digest carbohydrates, you need extra water. But also, when you consume animal saturated fats, breaking down of those bonds during the digestion process of the saturated fats, there is metabolic water that is being released. So you produce your own metabolic water, and so the exogenous water demands are significantly smaller. But what oftentimes happens, people get used to this initial phase of drinking a lot of water, and they continue drinking it as they progress with the carnivore diet. And that is not a good idea. But one, you don't need that much water. Two, it can weaken your stomach acid and your digestion will be impaired. And if this goes for too long, it will actually show up in your blood work with certain types of proteins that will be noticeable in your blood work. So if you are used to drinking 2 to 3 liters of water and you are a few months into the carnivore diet, I suggest that you reduce it significantly. It would be a good idea to just go down at least to a liter of and a half, and maybe even less than that. And really get to listen to your own thirst cues and respond to them, not to the habit of drinking lots of water. And while we are talking about water consumption, let's talk about cramping, because it happens to a lot of people during the transition, and sometimes it continues past the transition. And the conclusion that oftentimes people make is, I need to drink more water not to have cramps. And then they drink tons of water and then add some salt, maybe electrolytes, and they still wake up with cramping and it ruins their sleep. Sometimes they can't exercise because of it. Sometimes their energy is affected for the day, and they make an erroneous conclusion that this is due to not drinking of enough water, and then they add some more water and things are just not working and the cramps continue. They can sleep at night, the cramps are just horrible. And then here's the deal. Some of us need some carbs. And I know not all of you will like to hear it, but if you increase your water consumption, if you relentlessly for a few weeks added electrolytes and you can't get rid of the leg cramps, particularly they occur at night in your calves, then you might need some carbs. And I haven't figured it out yet why there is a group of people that no matter how much electrolytes they consume, if they add extra water, extra salt, they can salt their food with ungodly amounts of salt, the cramps continue until they start adding some carbs. In other words, until they deliver some electrolytes through the food. And usually honey and fruit takes care of that. Another reason people will have cramps and they just don't want to go away is when they're in ketosis for an extended period of time, which is quite frequent if you're on the carnivore diet. And again, not everybody has that reaction, but enough of us do that it is worth mentioning. If you're in ketosis for an extended period of time, the cramps can also start occurring and they will not go away with extra electrolytes. You will have to get out of ketosis. And the carnivore approved way of doing it is by adding of honey, but also still the electrolytes are needed through food, and then usually watery fruit takes care of that problem permanently. Now, I know there will be some critics that will say this isn't 100% carnivore, and I agree with you, but I am not ideological about carnivore diet. I use it as one of the tools in the toolbox of achieving health. And if I have somebody on the carnivore diet for a year or two and they're not thriving and they're struggling and they're thinking that they're doing something wrong, and all that we need to do is add some honey or maybe watery fruit, and they're thriving, why not give it a try? And lastly, it is a mistake to think that carnivore diet will fix all of your problem within just a couple of weeks. Sometimes it takes really long, and it is really connected to how long you were dealing with a chronic condition. Maybe you had one or two. And if you were taking a prescription medication for the last 20 or 30 years and you were on antidepressant and taking painkillers regularly, the work you'll have to put in and the length of times you're going to have to be on the carnivore diet will be significantly longer than people that just got diagnosed with a chronic condition and started on the carnivore diet right away. Consequently, if you've been on the prescription medication for many years, I would not recommend that you quit it cold turkey and just jump into the carnivore diet. Most of us that have chronic diseases and take prescription medications for 20, 30 years, you'll be in your 40s, 50s, 60s. At this stage in the game, the body doesn't tolerate well the cold turkey quitting of anything. So I would recommend that you continue working with your doctor, continue taking your prescription medication, and as your results improve, your labs improve, then the doctor can adjust your medication until you gradually wean yourself off of it. Personally, I'm on the carnivore diet for the last 5 years, and I have no plans of changing it for the future. I really enjoy it. My health improved so significantly, not only in terms of autoimmunity, which got put into remission, but many other health issues that I had, including adrenal fatigue, got improved, my tolerance for stress. That said, I still like to support my body with other modalities. So for the acute stress at work, which I know that carnivore diet is what it is, I can't eat more meat to eliminate the stress. I use acupuncture and massage to deal with it, also sauna and ice baths. And when it comes to my hormonal changes, I love to support myself with herb remedies. And for those of you that are not too fond of herbal remedies or plants in general, because that tend to be a theme of the carnivore diet community, I would say, and I read it somewhere on the internet, and I don't know who to give credit to. I've read that plants make terrible foods, but excellent remedies, and I tend to agree with that. So I like plant remedies, herbal remedies in particular, as something to support my health or get myself through occasional illness or disease that is caused by viruses or bacteria. All right, so this will do it for this week's video. Carnivore diet is an excellent modality to address many chronic diseases. You can make still mistakes with it, even most of you eat meat. You can give up on it too early. That would be a mistake as well. And it does has its limitations. Sometimes you need support of other modalities, and that's okay. That is really okay. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.